As I said, I've been using Copilot for the last 2 years when I take it off skills training. And this session is intended to be a working session, where you have collaboration. As you know, that Copilot is positioned as the support Africa, as you said already. It's already embedded in Microsoft 365 in university applications. And then it's most of human centered. This episode will focus on today's session. All right. Now we're seated at intentional teaching. I'm focusing specifically on where Zoom's Copilot, probably Copilot, when to use Copilot, and we wanted to use Copilot. Also, see vocabulary very frequent. I will learn
Where bali spirit oh
yes. So when we speak of again intentional learning, that is one we're focusing on. Also, we the ethical use in that faculty defining where Copilot is allowed, where it's regulated, where it's limited, and really have to cite or disclose what the Copilot. Okay, so I'm going to start with Spock and okay. So I'm good word them now, and I'm here for the Copilot. Yeah, yes. Try to just give this to you 1 moment. Oh, what's in me? Teresa. Actually, so Miami Live and people who train for Lehman College. Yes, basically, when I train Copilot, and I will do a series of workshops that review college faculty students, we look at the 5 pillars of learning. Okay, the introduction with the Copilot features, the environment, and the uses. I go to basically what is Copilot. Copilot uses AI assistant. All right, where find it? It's in Office 365, the university application. It's also as a side and X and browser. You can also get free Copilot at copilot.microsoft.com. Welcome with use to there are so many different engineers different purposes. I go for I will get I'm in the hard up. Yeah, just did that. Let us out, like let us out. I'm sorry to no worries. Have a seat. And it doesn't purpose. No. Yeah. Uh as we're going through this, yes, what not I give you are impromptu, the instruction. How many you think you heard? Yes, what she
beautiful
being Lino's grade, so kids are going to go, right? Where which college you from?
Lima.
Lima too.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got a school difference.
Oh yeah, yes. So we're building a bit honestly because I didn't know the level of like I was, expecting to be. Responsible gives transparency when you develop, when we are using Copilot. And it works on both sides that professors have to be transparent when they are using Copilot for feedback or rubrics. How many of you use Copilot to design your learning objectives as feedback for rubrics and so forth? I get that genetic form. However, that is running late. Okay. Quickly, what is being and what it's those being Copilot was new. The have distinguish it very briefly. Of how you learn basically thing and what it's Copilot. As you know, Copilot is part of the Microsoft 365 family. And of course, there is connection between the search engine room, that's within Microsoft. I want to distinguish search engine, which is the general purpose and the extra queries. And it does what called ABC and ranking in column of course when we put in a search for a particular query, but I was at book in being how that one with is a big circuit. Upset what the law includes. It will look at different role styles. Then it will select the signals route of one, and they are sure when they work with. Then you have Copilot, which is an AI that system. Instead of artificial intelligence, I like to see AI as augmented intelligence because it is actually supporting my work. And Copilot is classified as searching using wise large language models, right? He's pre-trained or large shape sets, and of course, it understands intent and context and even cultural nuances. I just wanted to distinguish. Sometimes people ask, well, why is my Greg's Copilot behaving in a certain way, or they're able to predict certain things within Copilot that are not? Because we have two types of Copilots. One is a general purpose Copilot, and the other one is embedded into Microsoft 365. How many of you are using the general purpose? Do you know? And how many are using? Okay, the difference, of course, in the Microsoft 365 Copilot, and that is the paying subscription, is that Copilot will have access to your Outlook inbox, your Teams chat, your OneDrive, even your SharePoint. So it can actually help you with your workflows. And that's one way of thinking about Copilot. How can it help me with my workflow? And that way you can find, more boosters for Copilot. By the way, Copilot actually designed that chart, right? So it also does what is called the text to image or graphics. Now, what are uses for Copilot? As I said, there are different uses, and how you define what is good for you depends on your workflow. Each one of us, we have different workflows, right? Faculty will have a workflow, staff will have a workflow. Some are asking now to do monkey track. Susan, how are we using Copilot?
To help me generate ideas. I generate ideas highlighted by agendas, for meetings, as well as PowerPoint, like the thing with a PowerPoint to really work sites, applications, notes, else.
Thank you. Already uses. Are you using Copilot? I'm not using Copilot at all. I had no idea if you figured it out on my way to channel or use up. So I'm here. Okay, so you want to just, so you are you use Copilot. Dora.
Um, so I use Copilot, some like drafts and brainstorming. I kind of had a question though. You had fifth bullet point there. Science to image generator. You could ask that now.
Yes, I'm not answering you because all out of the range, I can text long and ask it to generate the image. It does create background. Yes, so that is gonna be great Copilot, and that's how I use it most. Generating images. How many lessons Copilot? Is it?
Yeah, I'm using for myself. Get the answers. I'll be put that work I'm trying to hire it for my students. I'm not teaching in the Copilot of my students because once they get off to use it, they don't want to study.
They don't want to study.
Yes,
Do you think the model responsible AI application it just invents through AI and like on steering them in the direction that you can use AI for this purpose and then you would apply society. So
yes, in the long run, yeah. That it's like what I'm understanding by second year, a second grade daughter, she's studying the math plus science together. We all know that we can do that in the calculator. But I don't let her use the calculator. Same thing. In the class, I give the fundamentals of the stats, become things like her. but I don't teach, the actual part.
Thank you. Okie dokie, that skip goals. Now, what about support and accessibility? This is a big thing coming up a small. I would provide support accessibility. Copilot is multi-label, yes, right? I use Copilot expanding to Urdu and Egypt. Languages that are not that are not part of the Romance languages of French, Spanish, English. So that is one way of using Copilot. Because Copilot is able to transfer documents and automate the summarization process, that is one way. Suppose you are designing, for example, learning objectives or an assignment. You could, of course, put into Copilot if you have a syllabus. How can I make this more accessible, right? For example, where should I add my header? So you know what I mean? What kind of color contrast is best? And all text or images, okay? Those are ways out. Questions? Yes.
So actually, that goes to the fifth bullet point, which is the text to image generator. I understand the idea of like giving Copilot the prompt to buy like you create blah blah blah. But then the question I had is, does Copilot really understand what meaningful alt text is? Because meaningful alt text is not just a prompt to create this one. And that would be a concern that I have is I wouldn't want people to get into a habit of just thinking, I'm just going to use my prompt as the alt text, because the alt text is about the purpose of using that image in the first place. And so how does Copilot guide somebody, not just with creating an image, but also better understanding what meaningful alt text it is for supporting accessibility?
Well, that's why they say Copilot is center. We as humans have to know what's a meaningful part of it. And we guide Copilots in that sense. It takes our cues from us. You see that, Penny?
I do. I think I was kind of wondering for people that don't completely understand what alt text is supposed to do. I think what I would say, in not most articulate ways, would there be any questions that Copilot asked that like how you intend to use this image that we're creating? Then it would be great if it would lead somebody into, okay, let's talk about what meaningful alt text is for this image we just created.
That's a very good point, Laura. So that is when you prepare that, you have to say like, this is what I intend, which I do on that which
Yeah, like many people, like I like AI, but there's obviously like areas of growth in AI, I will say. And so I will say it's how yeah, us and Floyd very excellent kind of rigorous. There are areas to go. And the thing it is with AI is that if we have one perspective, and we as humans, we are diverse, we're inclusive, and we have multiple perspectives. So the expectation is, will AI satisfy my expectation? And this is why prompt reiteration is really great, because through trial and error, there's no really correct thought. For me, it's a trial and error process, either unglobal. So usually I create a prompt to it. Have the launch Copilot? You pretty much know this, but if you're new, it's part of Microsoft 365, the university license. You can go to Microsoft 365 and just click on the icon. If you have Windows 11, it will be part of your operating system. You can type Copilot in the search bar. Also, it is exists as part of the side panel of the Edge browser right here. You can click on that, and that will open the Copilot. This is basically for those of you who are new to Copilot. This is what a Copilot interface will look like. I like to divide things in three because people remember threes. Okay, what are threes? Right? Pursuit of life, happiness, liberty. Threes are very important numbers.
will follow the sun the whole road. The three is most important. So I separated in three. So your navigation bar. Now your navigation bar may look different because it depends on what license profile you have. Do you have the general purpose license or do you have a paid subscription? My case paid subscription. It starts with the chats and then it's your all the other people. And then you have your taunting session so you get onto your prompts and instructions. You've got the history. And here, of course, you've got your history gallery and here you save little prompts. If you like a particular prompt, you can save it. So in reality, you get back to it. Way at the top here, you see there's that tiny little green shield. And that tells you that your data is encrypted, okay, within the QB Microsoft Copilot. Okay. All right. So fixing here about the difference between a chat notebook, okay? Chats, they're accustomed to using chats exemplary, in sex, their content will fade. I don't have much time to build into novels, but if you are building, for example, you're building a Google form, you may choose to do that from the notebook because you can reuse it, revise it, you go back to it, and have all the content in one place. Now, I learned that not every license of Copilot has the notebooks. You may or may not see that. If you don't, that's okay. Their prompting guidelines, I just did a very quick prompting guidelines. Be specific, provide context, break it down in steps, role playing. Copilot loves role play. Debate style, provide analogies. Laura was asking me about the text image generator. Of course, here again, Copilot developed this image and I found it really cute. That's the right word for Copilot. And it's like, it's nice, it's interactive, it's comfortable. And just sit where you put sit out there, your best practice for prompting if you want to meet with Copilot. And so what time?
Where see the notebook as opposed to chat? I don't see it, and I don't know if it's because I don't have it, or perhaps I don't have it. Let's go where is it? Okay, that's not sure if I.
Let me go out. I'm looking in the wrong place. You had that screen. No. It should be under your agents.
Under agents?
Yeah, all agents. I can really see it's really tiny. Let me just see if I can moving. Do you see that now? Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Text to image generation. That's using an AI called DALL-E 3. 3, of course, is a reiteration of it. And to get that name, combine the Salvador DALL-E and Wall SARS. And that's the one they use. And then very quickly, it goes over, from the coalition content there. It goes through the different guidelines. It does have some restrictions on it. Anthony, the time for you?
11.
11 for 10 more minutes. Okay. One academic use case for Copilot is the rubric. And in order for Copilot to help you get feedback from the rubric, the importance of the following of the rubrics, the essential rubric components, the instructor authority that they ask for, and so forth. I do have, before I talk, because I only have 10 minutes left. Okay. Here is an example of a rubric I put together. How many of you said you should engage in this? Let me see if I can make that bigger because it's kind of really small on the screen. Control. To getting it bigger. Okay. So basically, I'm giving a Copilot an instruction. You are assisting an instructor with rubric feedback. And now the important thing is if we use Copilot with rubrics, we need guardrails or bounds. Remember we said everything is human-centered, which is in belief. Okay? So it means that we're not giving Copilot the right to assign a final grade. We may lose it just in providing feedback to that degree. So let's do this use case within the last 10 minutes that we have. You are assisting an instructor with rubric-based feedback. Evaluate the student's submission using only the rubric criteria listed below. Attached is the rubric criteria, descriptors, levels of performance, and scoring system. The task is to write an essay on how much that relates to the language experience. These are first-year freshmen, and I will attach the essays. I will get the rubric criteria. These are by the guardrails, and I will ask the crowd later. Let's go here, rubric grid. Okay, this is a sample of the rubric grid here that we can ask Copilot to help us put together right here. Okay. And of course, we have certain constraints here within Furlough. Here we go. All right. If we're going to use Copilot to provide us feedback on rubrics, it's best to, of course, redact the student names and their identity, which is what I did. And then I created sample essays. These were different types of essays. Of course, some were weaker, some were stronger. And pass this to Copilot given that rubric. And then, of course, I asked Copilot to power grade it in an Excel spreadsheet. And here it puts it all together for us. Okay. Now, as an instructor, you don't accept this, of course. You will check it, make sure it works, but it works quite quickly and quite efficiently. That's says. All right, so for rubrics, I will begin on this slide here. And let's go through the capabilities of Copilot. Copilot can help you apply consistently the rubric standards. It's not replacing you. Have you ever when you're made you first said, I wish I had your eyes to help me? With no lighting? Yeah. So it was a great example I showed with rubric where you design the rubric, set your variables, scores, you prepare the papers. Copilot can provide that extra pair of eyes that you need. Okay? There are limitations with our variables not outside the plan frame. The activating the rubric, whether ethical response uses. When you are using Copilot, do you let the students know how to complete the exam? Yes? You're shaking him.
Oh, I didn't get it.
You have nothing.
Yeah, I didn't be your us.
Okay. Is there a reason why?
Oh, indeed.
How many can use Copilot in meditation? Okay. Next. How to keep.
I just use it out of fire habit for during the free. So I did great in that, like, with it did for the AI to break 5,000. Good to see how well the international compliance numbers and plus. So I didn't see engines provide because it organized a little bit nicer lighting and better. Right, I keep that a little bit stream of consciousness. That it's able by it organized and interestingly exciting things put in the paragraphs about the grades. It grades and it's rateable virtual line cycle. The Flyboard with my feedback when AI generating feedback and that case the rest.
Can I just say, how do you give Copilot student work?
I read it from just like it's like a paragraph long to like previous paper that you follow. That's what I had all the required is on paper, and then I copy this it without or then by brush to paper. I copied it, but bullet, and I copied this paper and the chat.
They look so like these, like this. You can just attach. We come to the profile here. Let's go back to our profile here. Okay. Let me copy this. I'll just throw it in and paste it. Okay. You see that plus sign here? It says upload files and images. Then you can go to wherever you've got with files or images. Here's my files on the desktop. EdTech League. What are my files? My best files. Sample essays. Opened. There you go. And the status rubric. It's that the sample essays. Let's go. So how are you protecting student identities while still knowing which students give the grade to? Let's take this way. Like this. And my example here, I took off their names. One second.
Maybe so. Open.
In my example, and this is just for the showcase, I took off their names. And these examples, some are weak, some are strong to show that difference, right? So I will take off I take the names off. Does anybody have a suggestion? How to take your names? How do you do it? Laura?
This may be a hot take. That's the thing. So I wouldn't personally, do what you want with this. I wouldn't personally, as a professor, want to have Copilot guide me in grading my students' work just out of fear that like I have to start adopting its language accidentally. I want to keep my voice. And I'm also kind of worried, where does the line with students if they think that we're using AI to grade their work? Why would they feel any motivation to choose the work themselves? So I just say this, I do use a rubric when I'm grading stuff and my students they can see what's chat up. But I also, and I know this will work for everyone, because I only have 40 students, I give them short video feedback along with their grades. So they see me, hear my voice, because it's all online. And they know it's authentic feedback. Because I'm trying to make sure that they're using AI the right way. So I don't want them to ever get the wrong idea about how I'm on.
So why is the right way to use it?
Well, like I say, I've used it for like brainstorming or an outline, but I just want to be really mindful because there's a lot of like talk of like sounding like AI. I don't sound like AI. I sound very.
Oh, there's something with AI. How is it permissible? I hear a lot.
So if I've got like a video that I want the students to watch, I might ask Copilot, like, and I've watched the video myself. I might be like, what are a couple of guiding questions that might be a good idea to present to the students? Be like, hey, think about this while you're watching this 10-minute long video. So I might use it that way. But yeah, I don't know. I would be extremely hesitant to use it that way, just with reading, because I will be worried I'd start adopting some of the language that Copilot is giving me, which takes away my authenticity, which is going to have a non-harm effect with the students.
Well, and I took out this. I had a yield at the end, and I only used it briefly. But it can't because it was a professor at Purple College who teaches journal group. She said she discovered one semester students were using AI like storage. She was fine, and sort of in a funny retaliation, she had AI grade all of them, and of course it created a parser. And then had made the students were all bad. So like that's your grade our science with AI, but and she didn't agree because we had this public conversation in the class. We decided nobody was to use AI that semesters sort of worked out. So I was kind of curious because I also have a grace period for my students where you have a week after the assignment to still turn it in. And then they will get this drop back that is you don't get great feedback from me. I'm sending a burst if you want. Guys, what's sort of the I figured there had to be something with it. And anyway, and so with that, I thought, well, maybe I do the AL, and then it affects something. But I'm not sure we'll enroll the rough requirement. I'll hit back, so I back off one. Guys, what a mess of slurry in that.
Well, I see that some AI hesitancy within our professors to look saying it's a hot topic. So let's check it and get heard. So the thing is, there's another question we have to ask ourselves globally. AI seems to be being developed in different countries, different rates, and while for its impact, AI is not introduced responsibly and modeled ethicals in higher education, and students are not being prepared for the workforce, which will, of course, embrace AI for its cost savings, for its efficiency, right? So that must be another factor we have to consider. And I do hope, and I know Andy has given you the thumbs up, but I got to wrap in the session. So I'm hope is, at least for this conversation that you have opened, we will look at closer look at what AI can do for our workflow, for ourselves, and how we remodel AI responsible to our students, because they will be required to use augmented intelligence in the workforce, whether it could be includes and amplification. Good. And I'll wrap you up because that comes from myself. Any questions? Well, is it time? Is it time?
You got 5 more minutes.
Trying to be any more questions because that was what I planned for you. Of course, we have the ethical responsibility. You are disclosing things. The instructor remains in authority, as Laura said. Your moderator is responsible AI use. And of course, with their trustworthy transparency. By the way, AI give me this next graph. Our takeaways, no replacements, and so forth. Any question? Again, thank you for notes.
I was just going to ask earlier this week, had you're going these webinar from the AIBronx, and there was one downstairs. We quite that got the KCN for the takeaway was of data and some professionals as well. So I'm talking about that what they're looking at it or being in the industry primes that with you and Naira this we teach the AI skills and all the soft skills. The life service someone who teaches them the small skills there. So like, cool, that's where my focus there is that all that's a real schedule, the AI part maybe because I do remember this semester. But I'm wondering if you've noticed that if they're having any clear thoughts on like because I feel like there's really sort of a balance teaching the AI part, but also the critical thinking or thinking and the communication, the creativity, and all those other parts that AI.
Well, as I said in the beginning, with the intentional teaching purpose, it's where how I can do where I can use it. Your general purpose AI skills. That's how we get on Copilot, how to use the prompt, you might say how to upload a file and so forth. Then there's within the actual environment of the classroom, how are we going to apply it? And because AI just came out like 2 or 3 years ago, and we sort of like just said snowball, pick up all this momentum, many people are not prepared to jump on the snowball and roll with it. So, my father, he was a professor of mathematics. He died 17 years ago, and he would just die if he saw AI in him, because in his mind, I remember that being a math professor, he would give me problems in calculus to do. And at the back of the calculus textbook were the answers. So one particular problem was really hard, but the answer that I got matched the textbook answer. And he said to me, and I said to him, the answer is right. I'm very proud. the answer is right. And he said to me, well, how would you arrive at that? Then we see the process comes into play. It's not just the right answer, but it's the path. And thank you for coming today.